out.
Now, before I push play on this video, I want you to understand something. I don't agree with every when I post a video of someone, that doesn't mean that I agree with everything that that person stands for. I agree with this particular message that this person stands for. And the reason why I gotta say that is because there's a lot of people that watch my videos and they think because I post a video of someone that I agree with everything that individual stand for. And that just lets you know that you're not using emotional intelligence and you just looking for false polychromatic colors within myself. But here's the deal, which is truth, that we have been manipulated to believe that war isn't murder. We have been manipulated to believe that genocide isn't murder. But what happens is in the so-called black communities that they have created for us in America, the moment that black person, a so-called black person, do a drive-by shooting, any type of crime that would be considered violence is supersized and all over national news, and that is considered to be a crime. But the genocide that took place between the Israel and the Palestinians, America and Iraq, America and Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, these are not considered what you consider violent acts of criminal acts. These are all under the umbrella of war. However, the moment that, again, a so-called black male in America do a drive-by shooting over some cookies or a parking spot, like, it's get blown up over national news because this is called manipulation, psychological manipulation. And you need to study dark psychology because this is what's being done to so-called black people. I'm going to let this video play because there are a lot of so-called black people on this planet that believe that black people are completely out of control. We are out of our minds, but we're not out of control because we're out of our minds being controlled by another species, being manipulated by another species that is out of their mind and out of control. So once you really start to study psychology, study neurology, biology, it traces back to their genetics and why they so hell bent on war, necrophilia, why they're so hell bent on looking at atrocities and looking at bodies all the time because they have never stopped, and it goes back to their genetics. However, I'm going to let this video play, and I thank this brother for actually pointing this out because there are so many of our brothers and sisters that are feeding into the fact or believing because of the oppressor is telling them that black people are completely out of control. We're out of our minds. We're not out of control because we're under their control. If we were in our right minds, we wouldn't produce the shit that we are producing out here on the streets. We wouldn't even capitulate. See, if they dropped a bag of guns in the so-called black people community that are in their right minds, those bag of guns will be there the next day. We wouldn't bother those guns. Those guns, those drugs, whatever they put in our community, they would still be there. But because we are out of our minds and under their control, they have no problem dropping guns and drugs in our community.
To you, young man, is that you would follow Charlie Kirk, who's trying to suggest that there's something wicked in the black DNA that makes them so violent. And that's why they have these terrible, unfavorable statistics that show that they're killers. Yet you would observe whites like Ukrainians. Would you say Ukrainians are white? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say that Russians are white? Yes or no?
Yeah, I would say so.
They're killing each other, right? They're calling it war. But one of those sides is not justified. Would you agree? So one of those sides is committing, right? They're calling it war and they're calling it justified, just like the Europeans who call themselves Israelis are killing the kids in Gaza. Are they calling that murder? No, they're calling it war. The American government goes into, which is to say white supremacists, goes into Iraq, mass murder. They go into Afghanistan, mass murder. They go into Syria, mass murder. They go into Libya, mass murder. They caused the Ukraine-Russia war, mass murder. They support what's going on in Palestine. Mass. Now, point is, none of it do they count in crime statistics as none of it. But they have a bloodthirst, these people. There's something in their DNA that causes them to kill because they've never stopped killing, my dear boy. They've been on a killing spree. My whole life, your whole life, your grandmother's whole life. But that's not in the crime statistics. What are the crime statistics on those wars that I put out? Like white people killing people in an organized, efficient fashion. It's not in the crime statistics. Do you understand my point? So what I'm pointing out to you, young man, is that
And what helps their agenda is they go into our communities and they put the most ignorant, unintelligent people in front of the camera to represent the entire party of so-called black people. But they will never allow an intelligent, not an indoctrinated, but an intelligent, like this man right here, or myself. They will never put an intelligent man that sees the forest beyond the trees in front of the camera and try to pull off these statistics or try to compartmentalize us into these categories of violence when historically and all the way up to this day, current day, that the complex cell, eukaryotic cell, the species that carries animal DNA, are the most violent and out of control species on this planet. So for every one black man that supposedly kills another black man, they are killing each other by the hundreds as well as killing us as well. So again, for the so-called black people that are being misguided and miseducated, you actually need to take a step back and do your own independent research and stop allowing someone to feed you nonsense about your own species. Abundance and gratitude to all.